Every autumn, gardeners face an age-old choice. Should leaves be used fresh, scattered straight from the rake onto the soil, or should they be left to rot into leaf mold before being spread? It seems like a simple decision, but to the creatures that determine the health of your soil, earthworms, it makes all the difference. Worms are not passive inhabitants of the soil, they are active builders of fertility, dragging mulch underground, fragmenting it, and feeding the microbial life that plants depend on. The question of whether rotten or fresh leaves attract worms faster is not just academic, it reveals something profound about the rhythms of decomposition, the preferences of soil life, and how we can align our gardening practices with natural processes. Why leaves are nature's gift to soil. Leaves are a tree's final offering each season, carrying the minerals they've drawn up from deep soil layers. When they fall, they form a carbon-rich blanket that protects and nourishes the ground below. In forests, this cycle creates some of the richest soil on Earth, brimming with life and humus. In gardens, we can harness the same process, but the condition of those leaves, fresh or rotten, shapes how quickly worms respond. Fresh leaves are intact, tough, and full of protective compounds designed to slow decay. Rotten leaves, by contrast, have already entered the cycle of decomposition, softened by fungi, bacteria, and time. Each stage interacts differently with worms, and the contrast between them is striking. Fresh leaves, the protective blanket. When spread on the soil, fresh leaves act as an immediate shield. They slow water evaporation, keep temperatures more stable, and suppress weeds. These are vital roles, but they do not instantly attract worms. The structure of a fresh leaf, with its waxy coating and tannin-rich tissues, resists breakdown. Worms are not equipped to digest such tough material unaided. Instead, microbes must first take the lead. Fungi begin weaving through the litter, softening its fibers and neutralizing the compounds that resist decay. In the meantime, worms often remain below the mulch, benefiting from the improved soil conditions, but waiting for the leaves to become palatable. Over weeks and months, this transformation occurs, and only then do worms begin dragging softened fragments underground. Fresh leaves, then, serve as a long-term input, slow to feed, but effective at protecting the soil in the interim. Rotten leaves, worms' preferred feast. Once the microbial pioneers have broken through, leaves lose their natural defenses, their fibers soften, their tannins diminish, and their structure becomes porous. For worms, this is a signal that the feast is ready. So, gardeners often notice a dramatic difference. When you spread rotten leaves or leaf mold, within just a few days, worms can be seen tunneling through and pulling the material down into the soil. They're not just eating the leaves, but also the fungi and bacteria that are colonizing them. This creates a rapid cycle. The worms fragment and ingest the softened matter, and their castings enrich the soil with nutrients. Plus, the microbial life they spread multiplies even further. Rotten leaves, in effect, are already halfway to becoming humus, and worms simply accelerate the final stages. What happens beneath the mulch is actually pretty fascinating. The choice between fresh and rotten leaves affects more than just worm numbers, it shapes the entire soil food web. Rotten leaves speed up microbial activity, encourage worm tunneling, and result in castings that aggregate soil particles into a rich, crumbly structure. Fresh leaves, on the other hand, act as a slow-release mulch. They still eventually join the soil cycle, but their influence is delayed until microbes soften them enough for worms to intervene. This timing matters. In one season, rotten leaves can produce visible soil improvement, while fresh leaves may take a year or more before worms fully utilize them. Both contribute, but at different speeds. Different worms, different responses. Not all worms react the same way. Compost-dwelling red wigglers thrive in rotten leaf mulch, often appearing in large numbers soon after it's applied. Deep-burrowing nightcrawlers are more patient, taking fresh leaf fragments down once microbes have worked on them. The balance of worm species in your soil partly determines which type of leaf mulch shows the fastest effect. Still, across gardens and climates the pattern holds. Rotten leaves nearly always spark quicker activity. For those wanting immediate soil revival, rotten leaves are the clear choice. Collecting leaves, piling them, and letting them decompose for a few months before use results in a mulch that worms devour quickly. If only fresh leaves are available, they still serve a vital purpose, protecting soil over winter and eventually breaking down, especially if shredded to expose more surface area. Combining them with nitrogen-rich materials like grass clippings can speed the process and shorten the waiting period before worms respond. Common pitfalls with leaf mulch. One mistake gardeners make with fresh leaves is layering them too thickly, creating a dense mat that repels water and air. Worms avoid these suffocating conditions. Another oversight is assuming all tree leaves decompose at the same rate. Oak, for example, breaks down much more slowly than maple or birch. Rotten oak leaves still attract worms, but patience is required. Blending different leaf types ensures a more balanced mulch that sustains worm populations consistently. Worms as nature's soil test. Watching how worms respond to leaf mulch is more than an interesting experiment. It's actually a way to measure soil vitality. Fast worm activity signals good microbial balance, adequate moisture, and, really hospitable soil. Whether fresh or rotten, leaves always circle back into the soil. They bring deep-mined minerals, contribute to humus, and sustain the organisms that keep soil alive. Rotten leaves speed this cycle, fresh leaves stretch it out, but both are part of the natural rhythm. The most resilient gardens often use a mixture: fresh leaves for immediate cover and slow feeding, rotten leaves for quick worm attraction and fast fertility gains. Closing thoughts. Earthworms are not just consumers, they are collaborators in building living soil. Their response to leaves really shows their reliance on microbial preparation, and their preference for softened organic matter. Rotten leaves light the fuse, drawing worms in quickly and accelerating soil revival. Fresh leaves, though slower, still contribute, ensuring a steady supply of organic matter that sustains the cycle over time. For gardeners seeking to wake up worms fast, rotten leaves provide the clearest path. But in the long story of soil, both fresh and rotten leaves have their place. Knowing when and how to use them gives you control over the pace of soil improvement while staying aligned with nature's cycles. If this exploration into the hidden world of worms and mulch sparked ideas for your garden, make sure to subscribe to Botanical Bliss and share this guide with others who care about building soil the natural way. Together, we can restore fertility by honoring the simple materials that nature gives us every season.